Welcome. This video is essay help for our first essay, the summative essay. I don't think I'm actually going to be using this assignment for that much longer. I think I'm going to go back to a Blue Book exam next year, but well, at least my online classes, I'll still use it, so it'll be helpful. So I'm going to start with some basic strategies, some important things that I want you to be thinking about, and then I'll take us to looking at the question and doing that. Okay, so Unit 1, Summary Essay Strategies. First things first, use your homeworks. I told you to do that. The whole point of this essay is for you to use your homeworks, okay? Don't start all over and start trying to recreate something new. We have the homeworks, right? You have homeworks on electoral college and rational actor theory or institutionalism, homeworks on the media, homeworks on Citizens United, right? Now, your homework's not going to be able to do everything for you, but the way you start this essay is take all those homeworks that are relevant, drop them into a Word document, and then start adding to that. That's what I want to see you do, and that's the most time efficient thing for you, okay? If you're on an online version of my course, we also have bulletin board discussions. Things relevant to there might matter as well, okay? So keep that in mind. You can get some ideas from there. If it's your work, you're free to recycle it. If it's someone else's work, you absolutely have to put it in your own words, right? We're never allowed to cut and paste things from someone else, okay? Second piece of advice, have a strong thesis. I'll talk about what your thesis statements can look like. Because this is more of a scientific project, there's kind of a limited field of what a thesis will look like in this one. Next, really all this prompt is asking you to do is to compare and contrast the role of institutional and sociological theories in explaining political behavior using the examples we have covered in class, okay? So just, that's what I want to see you do. It's not a research project. We have a research project later in the semester. This is a summative essay where you're looking back at everything we just did, and you're like, oh, look, remember that last month of class, Professor Selby? I remember it too. Let me explain to you what we learned in the last month, okay? That's what I want to see you do here. Explain to me what we learned in the last month. And strong warning here, easy way to get a bad grade is to try to shortcut the process and just Google stuff or go to ChatGPT, okay? I can't prove, well, let's just say this. It's not going to be the right answer because it's not going to be the answer that I taught you in this class, okay? The right answer are answers from my materials. If it's not the way I taught it to you, it's wrong, okay? And I know there's lots of people out there talking about institutionalism, institutionalism this, institutionalism that. If you talk to me about institutionalism in their manner, I'm going to get mad because I taught it to you my way. I taught it to you in a really good way, okay? And I spent a lot of time thinking about the way to teach these high-level concepts to introductory students like yourselves, okay? So if you go Google it, you're going to get a way that someone else is teaching to their probably graduate students or from some article or something, but that's not how I'm teaching it to you, okay? You need to give it back to me the way I gave it to you, okay? So, and there's no redos if you get a D. There's no redos, you just take that D. Now we're trying to change slides. It's being annoying. There we go. Oh, there we go. Okay. Here are some helpful pieces of advice, some things you can use to take and to help you think about how to start, good sentence starters. So institutional theories explain X behavior by, or sociological theories explain X behavior using, okay? That's great. You can just have those. Just take them, okay? Use them. They're helpful to you, okay? And remember, we looked at basically four sort of phenomenon. We looked at the Electoral College, and we did homework on the institutional stuff, but remember the reading also has stuff on polarization and the reduction of swing states. So you want to go back to the reading and you want to think about that. Okay, it's a really good idea to go back through the readings a little bit here. The rise of partisanship in the media. I have the different factors in the reading. Go back to the reading. There's rule-based factors and there's cultural factors. So you want to be comparing how those two explain rise of partisanship in the media. The role of money in elections. That one's more of a rule. I'm not sure if the culture explains that one as much, but the rule explains a lot. And the causes of the American two-party system. Remember, single-member plurality is what causes us to have a two-party system. But then, what did we just do? We just did our video on party realignment. To explain party realignment, you need to think culturally, okay? So there you go. Think about that. That should all be helpful to you. More helpful advice. Have a boring first sentence. Here's another one you can just have. There are two main theory families in political science, commonly known as institutionalism and political sociology. You can have that, okay? Rewrite your thesis, I should say thesis, sorry. After you finish your paper, your argument may evolve a bit, and so that's fine, but you want to come back and rewrite it. You don't need to cover all the cases, but it looks good, okay? If I see all 4 cases covered and done well, it makes it really easy for me to give you an A. Okay, but you can get an A. You don't have to cover all 4 cases to get an A. Okay. And if you have any kind of creative thought beyond what I have taught, I'm dying to hear it. Okay, I'm dying to hear it. If you have any kind of creative thought beyond what I've taught here, I'm dying to hear it. Okay, come on, let's go. Okay. So now let's think about your thesis. The thesis is an argument, okay? So in this class, because we're looking at scientific principles, the argument will be related to which of these theories is stronger, better, more plausible, explains more, something like that, okay? Simply saying they are different is not an argument. It's just description, okay? They are different in the following way, and it's important because that's starting to get towards an argument, okay? Institutionalism is a stronger theory because, okay, great. I mean, one of the nice things about institutionalism, you get these very tight explanations, right? Like rules, behavior, wow, we see that effect. Look at the Electoral College. Rules matter, right? It really sinks in. But it certainly doesn't explain everything. I don't think it does, okay? In this paper, there's probably one of 3 possibilities for your thesis. Institutionalism is better, and why? Political sociology is better, and why? Or they're both good and they complement each other, and how? Okay, exactly how do they complement each other? Just saying, oh yeah, they're both great. That's just, again, that's not an argument, that's just description. Oh, they're both good, we need them both. Okay, how? Why? How do they relate to each other? How can we have both? A lot of the institutionalists don't think we need political sociology. A lot of the sociologists don't think we need institutionalism. Are they all wrong? Maybe, but you got to address that, okay? The other thing you want to do is, especially if you pick either institutionalism or political sociology is stronger, you need to think about what kind of counter argument is going to come from the other camp. So if you say institutionalism is stronger, look at how it explains so much political behavior, it's so important, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Well, then the political sociologists are going to come to you and they're going to say, yeah, you know, except for all those times where rules don't matter and because people really want something, they just flagrantly ignore the rules and just go do it. So an example of that could be something like Japanese internment. If rules really mattered, we wouldn't have, against the laws of the country, interned citizens. Half of the Japanese were actual citizens. We also took their property in many instances without trial. If rules really matter, why did that happen? Maybe political sociology has a stronger argument, so you need to address that style of argument. Okay, the argument coming from the sociologist that, like, you think rules matter, that's nice and quaint, but really all that matters is what people want. If they really want it, they just go do it. Tocqueville, tyranny of majority opinion. You think rules matter? No, they don't. People don't care about rules. People care about conformity. Okay, and if there's a strong enough group, they're just going to go ahead and do it and bully with the rules. Okay. If you want to say the sociological approach is better, maybe I've been convincing you here, well, you need to respond to the institutionalists and the fact that they're like, look, okay, sociologists, what people want really matters, I get it, but look at how strongly the rules affect behavior in the Electoral College. Look at how strongly rules affect behavior in the media or money in elections. How do you explain that, Mr. Sociologist? And that's a little bit harder, right? And so you might need to give a little bit of ground to institutionalists. But if you're trying to do that argument, you want to say, look, people aren't really self-interested. What it is they have values, and then they think it's self-interest. They pretend it's self-interest when they're in politics, but really all of that is a value motivation. And so the sociological argument is your base. That's where everything begins. It's bigger, it's broader, it's a little harder to see sometimes, but it's more important for that reason. And then the institutional arguments just explain variations on behavior. Okay? It's a secondary argument, not a primary argument. You could think of it that way. Okay? Or if they're both good, explain to me exactly how you can reconcile these two things. You can. We're not actually, the rational choice institutionalists are like, oh, we're self-interested, I don't think we actually are. We behave in maximizing, behavior. We do engage in maximizing behavior sometimes, but we're not actually maximizing self-interest. We tend to be maximizing our values more than our self-interest. So there are ways to bring these together. Think about that. Okay, and that's what I have to say about that part of it. Now let's look at the question, and I'll take us through a couple little things here. Okay. Expected length, 1,000 words or more. This is a minimum. There is no maximum. I don't want to see a 2,000 word essay. That's too long. But 1,500 is fine. If you're much over 1,500, I'm going to get annoyed. Okay? But, I do a lot of things like here's your minimum, right? So the minimum will pass, but it may not be great. Just keep that in mind. Okay? As I said, it is not recommended to use outside sources in this essay. Do not Google/ChatGPT. These resources are more likely to lead you astray than to help, because the way I teach this to you is different from the answers you will get there. You will get the wrong answers. If you do use outside sources, be sure to provide a complete academic citation. Any citation style is acceptable. It is recommended to use the Global Lyceum chapters you read and other materials from Canvas. For these materials, you may use the easy citation method, last name, title of the reading, page number, if appropriate. And here's a couple examples. Answer the question using your homeworks to guide you. Take your homeworks and put them into a Word doc and start there, okay? And here's the question. The question is titled Comparing Explanations. Comparing explanations. In this first unit, we studied theories of how rules, institutionalism, and culture, political sociology are used to construct scientific explanation in political science. In this essay, compare and contrast how institutionalism and political sociology explain political behavior by looking at least three of the following elements of political life: the media, interest groups, political parties, and the Electoral College, right? This is all the stuff that we've covered in this first unit. You have to do the Electoral College, so the Electoral College is mandatory. Finally, what conclusions can be drawn regarding the strengths and weaknesses of these two theories? Is one stronger, more plausible, or in some other way better than the other? Or could they be brought together in some way? Tell me what you think. And I do mean if you actually have an interesting thought, I'd love to hear it. Cover page requirements. All essays will have this cover page, okay? It does not go towards your length limit, and it will include the following items: your name, the word count of your essay, your thesis statement, cut and paste your thesis statement here, the plagiarism agreement. I type your name there, to hereby swear and declare that I did not copy and paste from the internet, that I properly cited all outside sources, and that the entirety of the work below is mine. This statement is a statement of consent to the plagiarism policy of Folsom Lake College and Professor Selby's course. Okay? And then the question repeats there, so you can have it in your cover page. So as you're writing, you see it, and hopefully it keeps you on track. Okay? Now I'm going to make one final little comment to you guys and then wrap it up. Comment is this. This is how I would structure my essay if I were you. It's totally up to you how you want to do this, but this is how I would do it. 1, I would write an introduction that ends with my thesis. 2, I would do a preliminary compare and contrast of institutionalism and political sociology as theories. Remember in the reading, we covered this, okay? So I would go back and look at just do a compare between the two of them. 1 paragraph on institutionalism, 1 paragraph on political sociology. So now you're at 3 paragraphs, and then do the rest of your essay. And the rest of your essay, you're saying, institutionalism looks at electoral college and says this. Political sociology looks at electoral college and says that. Institutionalism looks at media and says this. Political sociology looks at media and says that. Political parties, institutionalism, political parties, political sociology, okay? And if you do that, and you do it well, you'll get a good grade. All right.